Well, hello everyone, how are you doing? It's lovely to see you again, and as usual, a very, very warm welcome back to What's for Tea. I hope that I find you all very, very well indeed. Now, it's absolutely freezing tonight. It's been cold all day. I'll pop a couple of video clips up here, and this was, where we are. This was this morning. This was the front of the house and the back of the house, and as you can see, the rain's coming down, it's sleet, it's windy, lovely, typical Scottish winter weather. But what can you do? I mean, I actually quite like it. I don't mind the cold, rainy, windy weather, but just typical Scotland. So I'm kind of used to it by now, but completely different to what you'll be used to if you're from the likes of Australia or even the States. But yeah, cold and chilly. So what we're needing tonight on a cold, chilly night is something nice and warming and classic and comforting, just like this classic minced beef and onion pie. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a wee while, you'll know that this is one of our absolute favourites. Now, I normally get my mince pies from the local butcher, but they're so easy to do yourself. If you've got a wee bit of time, why not give it a go? And especially if you're using your, this ready-made puff pastry, it just cuts the time in half basically. So I'm going to quickly take you through this recipe, and it ended up wonderful. All of the ingredients and their weights you will find in the box down below. If you just click on the show more, it'll bring everything up down there for you. So let's go and see what I've got tonight. So the first thing I've got is one beef oxo cube. I've also got a good knob of butter. Now that's just for frying, but you can use oil if you prefer. I've got 1 tablespoon of plain flour. I've got 1 pound of beef steak mince. I got this one from the local butcher. Now it's quite important you get a good quality mince, because some of the cheaper ones, you'll get an awful lot of liquid from them. They'll be quite greasy, and the texture just won't be as nice. So if you can get to your butcher, I recommend getting it from your butcher. I've also got half a pint of beef stock. I've got a large onion which I've just finely diced. I've got 1 egg yolk, that's just for glazing your pastry at the end, and I've also got a sheet of ready-made puff pastry. Now there's about 320 grams in that, but I recommend going for the bigger box. If you can get round about 400, I would say go for that, because I was a bit short. I could have been doing my wee bit extra, but I made it work in the end. So let's go and see what we do next. So this was the pastry that I used today, and there's 320 grams in this, but I was just a wee bit short, but I done a wee bit of patching up and it was fine. This is the beef stock that I'm using. It's just a wee Knorr jelly pot. And I've also used 1 oxo cube. Now this is just a beef stock cube. So you're going to need a tin or a pie dish. I used this one, and I actually get a pack of 10 of these, which I'll link down below in case you want to go and check them out. Now these aren't non-stick, so I've greased mine with some butter. So first thing you want to do is go over to your cooker. Get your pan onto a medium heat and melt your butter. Once it's melted, you can pop in your onions. Now you just want to stir these around and cook them till they're just beginning to colour. Just like this. Then you can go in and add your mince. Now you just want to break this up with your spoon and let it fry away until it's nicely browned all over. And as you can see, this pan is bone dry because there's virtually no fat in this mince. Once you're at that stage, you can pop in your oxo cube, give it a wee stir around, and then your plain flour. Now just thoroughly mix this in and give this a cook for a minute or 2, just to cook out the flour a bit. Then you can add your stock. So I'm using half a pint. You just want to give that a good mix in. And I decided to add a few splashes of Henderson's relish. Now if you can't find Henderson's relish, something like Worcestershire sauce will do. It's very similar, and I know it's very easy to get. You just want to bring your mince up to a simmer and let this cook until the water has soaked in a good bit and it's gone a good deal thicker. Whilst you're waiting, you can get your pastry done. So you just want to unravel your pastry sheet. You can use puff pastry or short crust, it's up to you. In fact, some people put short crust underneath and puff on the top. I'm just using all-puff. Now I'm going to roll this out quite thin because I know at this stage I'm not going to have enough. So I'm going to roll it out as thin as I can. And using my tin as a template, you know, you're wanting two circles basically the same, one for the bottom and one for the top. Now I looked at this and I thought, I am not going to have enough. I already knew, but you want to cut your pastry out slightly bigger than your tin because you want it to come up the sides. This is your bottom. You just want to pop that into your tin, give it a good press down and just make sure it comes up the sides and over the top. Just keep sort of manipulating it, you know, massage it up the way and it will come over the top. And just trim off any excess with the back of a knife. You know, the blunt end is easier. And that's it. Easy peasy. Now you can actually bake this if you like before putting the mixture in. I don't usually bother because it's so thin, you know, it cooks anyway. But you can bake this first if you like. Just make sure to weight it down, you know, with some parchment paper and rice or baking beans so that it doesn't rise. Now we're going to do the top piece now, and as you can see that it's just a smidgen too small. So I'm going to grab my 2 wee extra bits from the bottom and just patch it up. Just give it a quick roll over the top to smooth it down a bit. Brilliant, this is exactly what I was looking for. So you just want to do exactly the same for your top, slightly bigger than your pie dish. And you just want to refrigerate, you know, refrigerate this until you're ready to put your mince mixture in. Just makes it a bit easier to work with, you know, if it's chilled. So pop that into the fridge. You just want to cool your mince down, and this is what you're looking for. Lovely and thick, still gravy in there, but it's not soaking wet anymore. So once your mince is cooled, get your pastry out of the fridge and get your mince into your case. Pat it down well so that it's nice and compact. And then you want to wet the rim of your pastry, just so that when you put the top on, it sticks down well. And the last thing you want to do is pop your pastry on. And I'm just going to go round the edge with my fingers and just press it down with my thumbs, just to squeeze those two edges together. You basically want to join the bottom with the top so that it creates a seal. And again, just cut your excess pastry away with the back of a knife. Really easy this. It's quite satisfying doing this actually. And you'll be left with a nice pastry bracelet like this. And that's it. As you can see that it's nicely sealed. You know, it's completely sealed there. So this is what we're looking for. The last thing you want to do is brush the top with egg yolk. Now I like to use egg yolk because it's a lot richer, you know, and it gives you a lovely brown shiny top. But you'd use egg white or a combination of both. You want to cut a wee hole in the top to let the steam escape when it's cooking. And I'm going to score the top of mine. This is completely optional, obviously, so that it looks pretty when it comes out the oven. Now you want to bake this in the middle of your oven for between 30 and 35 minutes at gas mark 6, 200C or 400F. Now halfway through I like to cover mine with foil, you know, just to prevent the pastry burning. And this was mine just out of the oven. Lovely. All you have to do now is cut it and serve. Now there's 4 of us for tea tonight, so I'll easily get 4 portions out of this. So we're having roast new potatoes, some garden peas, and that's the pie there. I squashed the front when I was taking it out of the tin. Oh dear, that's better. A wee bit of extra mince and that's us good to go. Absolutely delicious this, it really is. So that was it. That was my wee recipe. Like I said, really, really easy because you are using shop-bought pastry. But I mean, you don't have to have a bottom and a top. You can simply put the pastry on the top if you like. I know a lot of folk that do that. We like the bottom and the top. But like I said, if you like a really crisp bottom pastry, I would recommend that you bake your bottom pastry first, just before you put your filling in. Like I said, just put a wee bit of parchment paper in, weight it down with some rice or beans or bacon beans, something like that, for 10-15 minutes. Lift it out and then fill your pie. It just depends what you prefer. But yeah, that was my wee recipe. So thank you for stopping by. But just before you go, I wanted to mention that I'm going to be having a giveaway coming up very, very soon. When I get to 27,000 subscribers, I'm going to do another giveaway. So it should only be a couple of weeks away. But I wanted to give you a heads up just now, just to keep your eyes peeled for that coming in the next couple of weeks. And it's going to be an international giveaway, so it's going to be open to absolutely everyone. And I think I'm just going to do the same as I done the last time, which was 2 of you winning £50 or one of you winning £100, and I will put that to the public vote. So whatever one you decide on is the one I'll go with, and it'll just be the same rules as before, so I will explain that when I get you next, guys. Mind to take care of yourselves, and from our humble kitchen in Scotland to wherever you are in the world, lots of love and bye for now. Bye now.